Well, Catherine, I've not met you before. You work regularly on Tuesday?
Since the pandemic, yes.
Since the pandemic, yeah.
Before that, it was Wednesday. And I have been volunteering since before the Restore opened. So I have seen all the store managers.
Mm-hmm.
Started out with Sue St. Alban, who did a terrific job in getting us started at 3rd and Cass. But she wasn't with us all that long, maybe 3 years or so. And then the manager was Steve Baker. Did you know Steve Baker? No.
No, the people, I think I started working here a couple of years ago.
Mm.
And I've been down at the register the whole time.
Mm.
My history goes further back than that I was on the original board of directors for Habitat for Humanity with June Chomey when we started it back in, well, probably 92.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped build our first house.
Oh, good for you.
That was in Alaska. And I remember we were all so enthused. We got tons of great donations from the various lumber yards around. And when it came time to assess the value to determine the payment for the homeowner, the assessment came in really high. And the homeowners really would have trouble making that payment.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do some adjustment, but then went back to the people who donated to us and say, thanks for your donations. You don't have to give us your best stuff. And so that was kind of an interesting time for that first house. And I remember the times that we built some houses up in Holman, and we had a couple lots up there, and there was a homeowner going to be next to one lot, and he was really objecting to us moving in and building. And 2 or 3 of us went over to meet with him, talked about what Habitat is and how these are new homeowners, but we have a committee set up to help the new homeowners. He wouldn't budge. He eventually left, sold his house and left. So didn't really want to have Habitat
in his neighborhood, yeah. That couldn't have been Hope Court.
Nope.
No.
I know where that is.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's either 3 or 4 Habitat houses there.
Yep. And I remember the first construction supervisor was the name of, I can't remember his name now. Robert Horton, I think. He was from the university, and he really helped us get out and build. And then we came with a new construction supervisor by the name of Bob Monk. And if you see the Habitat fundraising we do during Christmas time with the 2x4s and all that, mm-hmm. That was, Bob and I created that. Mm-hmm. And Bob would also send out information to the various tool makers around Old Milwaukee and DeWalt, and he was able to secure tools for the Habitat program early on. And I remember Bob, one time, he was real committed to getting young people involved. And we didn't have enough for them to do. So the one house up in Holman, I think we painted the living room 5 times. Same thing. So we had good paint going on there. So Habitat has had a real nice history with me. I was the faculty advisor for Habitat for Humanity at the university, and I had 120 students in my club in Habitat. And the challenge was trying to get them out on the job sites so they could work, because they wanted to work, but that was hard to manage all of them. We ended up, our major issue was going on spring break trips, and helped organize that. And one of the person down on the board, Al Lean, was instrumental in helping organize spring break trips.
I remember somebody too who was also associated with the university, and he had them building picnic tables and things like that. Now I cannot think of his name.
I can't either, but I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So coming to volunteer just felt right to me. It's like I'm coming back to work with Habitat for Humanity. I'd worked with them for so many years in the startup that I thought, I'd like to come back and do something. And I'm not sure who interviewed me or vetted me, but I said I can't do a lot of lifting, so I won't be much use going out to dismantle things nor to move things around as they come in. But I could probably do the register. So that's what I started out with, doing that with Connie. And that's been fun since there's been a lot of repeat customers.
Oh, yes.
Gotten to know. And there's one man who comes in very often, is a real regular. And I've noticed that what he really enjoys most, he likes getting receipts. And so when the receipt comes out, he just grabs it like that and he smiles at me. And he really enjoys that. So I think,
Okay.
I don't think he needs the receipts. He just enjoys doing that. And so if he has to pay us something, he likes to flash the dollar, kind of wave it in the air before he gives it to me. So those are the kind of people who make it real enjoyable. I finally asked his name. I thought, well, I can know his name, can I? And he told me his name. So he sometimes comes in 2-3 times on Thursdays. I'm sure he's here on other days too.
Catherine, you want to talk a little bit about your experience and how you started first getting involved?
Well, I stopped working for money back in 2004 or 5, and I decided that one of the things I wanted to do was to be more active in my church and then also to volunteer with Habitat. And so I called up and made an appointment, went down to 3rd and Cass, and they were at that point beginning to get the store in order. And so I painted rooms in the old 3rd and Cass building and put up racks and put stock on the shelves. And
Was that the first restore?
the first
3rd and
restore
Cass?
was at
Okay.
3rd and Cass, yeah. And at that point, we had a store manager and a volunteer coordinator that we were sharing with the building side, and a receiving person, and a driver who would pick up donations. We have a lot more staff these days.
A lot of volunteer staff. So when did this store become the primary facility?
Well, we outgrew 3rd and Cass. Not only that, but that building isn't there anymore.
Okay.
There's a I cannot think what motel is there, but there is a motel there. And so I think the owner of the property wanted the property, wanted the building back. And so, because obviously the property got sold, but, and so we spent, I don't know how many years looking for a place.
Yeah.
And then finally this place was chosen. But I mean, we looked at like a place down by exit 3 of the interstate, down
Okay.
down in that area where
Okay.
that park, that.
Yes, there's a little park down there, right?
Yeah,
Right.
right. And we looked at what was at one point the Fastenal building on the causeway.
Yes.
And we looked at a building over on Theater Road.
Yeah.
So, and I remember Chuck Olson being on the board at that time. Were you on the board?
No, that was later. That was,
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't even think about a restore back then. We were just trying to figure out a way to get people to apply for a home.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd interview them and trying to determine their financial situation. And so we were just at the very beginning, didn't even think about something like this, which I think is wonderful.
Well, yeah, and when I travel, I go to restores.
Yes, I do too.
So well, and so the reason for restore is that I believe in the importance of decent housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the concept of that the homeowner actually participates and provides some of the sweat equity
Mm-hmm.
in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, well, as they say, it's not a handout, it's a hand up.
Yes. So what are the number of sweat equity hours now?
I don't know, the last
150 for adults.
150?
150.
I
150.
was going to say at one point I thought it was 300, but I don't, you know, that's not.
And can all family members participate in sweat equity, help each other out, or?
Yeah, family and friends can too, yeah. In the last few minutes, do you want to talk about, you had that receipt story. Do you also want to talk about some like favorite memories, whether you've interacted with a restore shopper or a volunteer on a construction site, like people and memories that really stand out in your mind?
Well, I think the most interesting memory for me with Habitat is working on the construction sites, and as I mentioned previously, trying to get people involved. And when we painted that living room of that house 5 times, just because we didn't have anything else for the young kids to do, so we thought, well, we got paint, let's go paint. Some of the customers who come in here, I've really gotten to enjoy meeting them again. They come in, and we had one fellow who came in a lot, elderly, and one day his daughter came in, and it was her father, and no, it was her grandpa, and she didn't know where he was, and so finally we spotted him walking around the store because he's tall, he always wears the same hat. And she said, he doesn't need anything. He's got a big barn, a farm. He just comes in here because the restore is his happy place. And she said he's got a terminal illness. So we as children, grandchildren, do not care what he buys at all. He doesn't need anything. So he buys things and puts them in his barn. He said, when he passes, we'll sort it all out, but this is his happy place. And I think there probably is a lot of customers who kind of view that as this is their happy place. They come in and talk to the volunteers and maybe find a little jewel of something.
Well, yeah, it's a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
I think my memories actually revolve around having made friends with various volunteers over the years.
Mm-hmm. Good people.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you wanted to share before we wrap it up?
Anything else you want to share? Well, I guess I would just like to emphasize how important decent housing is for people, and we as a country have a problem with affordable housing, so anything we can do.
Well, I've just the staff who are here have always been very helpful and kind to me, trying to work on things. One time I had a medical issue, and Taylor sent me home, but he had 2 of the staff standing out by my car. He was afraid I'd take off and not wait for my wife to come and pick me up. So I think many times they come in and they say, "How are you doing?" Which is a code for, "Are you feeling okay? Are you going to make it through your session today?" So that's always kind of fun.
before we like shut off the recording, is there anything else you wanted to say?
I would encourage anyone who wouldn't have to be a strong interest, but just an interest in becoming involved with Habitat, doing a variety of things, to come and check us out. Come and visit with us, read some brochures, talk with people, invite you to join our team.